Nickelodeon. Don't be fooled into thinking it was just kids' TV. In the 2000s, teen entertainment operated as a small sociological machine of aesthetic indoctrination. On one side, the Mouse Castle, with its promise of unattainable perfection, precisely rehearsed choreographies, and excessively white smiles. On the other, an orange explosion of suburban anarchy, slime, and absurd situations. Choosing between Disney Channel and Nickelodeon was not a matter of taste. It was a political stance at recess. You were signaling what kind of teenager you wanted to be. Disney's strategic turning point happened in the mid-90s. The goal changed to capture the tween. That creature aged 9 to 14 with purchasing power and an identity in formation. The strategy was surgical. Less animation, more human-faced sitcoms, pop soundtracks, and almost adult conflicts. The channel became a star incubator. The shift happened with High School Musical in 2006, which turned the channel into a major profit engine for Disney.
I gotta get my head in the game.
The subliminal message from Disney was clear. You might be a normal person, but deep down you're special, talented, and deserve a big stage. It was the embryo of the me-inker culture. Disney operated like an icon assembly line. You entered through a sweet sitcom, built charisma, and then came the full package. Soundtracks, tours, licensed products, original movies. A study shows how Disney Channel and labels like Hollywood Records created a pipeline of sanitized pop music. The core narrative was always the same. You are different, but you pretend to be normal. You have talent, but you haven't revealed yourself yet. The big stage moment will arrive. In practice, it was an early manual on image management. Smile. Make everything look light. Hide the collapse behind a melodic bridge. Nickelodeon, however, didn't want industry princesses. It wanted functional quirks. Since the 90s, with All That and Kenan and Kel, Nick cultivated a more anarchic humor. If Disney gave you a script on how to be idolized, Nick offered an informal manual on how to deal with the ridiculous. In iCarly, they took the idea of making a show and put it in the hands of teenagers, anticipating the logic of YouTube and content creators. Everything could be a joke. The body, the family, the school, authority. It was the anti-aspirational sitcom. Nothing there seemed made to be perfect, just memorable. Visually, the difference hurt the retina. Disney worked with super lit sets, flat colors, and costumes that looked like they came directly from the channel's own store. Critics described some sets as violently colored, with visual over-information. The mise-en-scène Disney trained the eye for what would later become the perfect feed. Life organized in pretty frames, rehearsed poses, and drama lasting exactly 23 minutes. Nickelodeon, on the other hand, wasn't afraid of the ugly. The set looked like a real, slightly messy house with visual texture. Gross-out humor, slime, flying food, disgusting things was the rule, not the exception. If Disney was the curated feed, Nick was the best friend's story at 3 a.m. Wrong angle, bad light, but brutal sincerity. This duality helped train a generation that today, as adults, desires the polished luxury, but deeply identifies with the nervous breakdown, with the meme of defeat. This is where nostalgia has to share space with discomfort. Because while we were laughing in the living room, a lot was falling apart behind the cameras. In 2024, the docuseries Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV officially opened Nickelodeon's black box.
Working for Dan was like being in an abusive relationship.
Former actors reported toxic environments, harassment, sexualized jokes involving minors, and a climate of fear and silencing. Much of the allegations revolve around producer Dan Schneider, creator of hits like iCarly and Zoe 101. The documentary describes public humiliations on set, intimidation, and a disturbing tolerance for sexually connotative content. The most devastating case is that of Drake Bell, who revealed being sexually abused by Brian Peck, a dialogue coach. Actors who went to Brian's house noticed some strange things going on there.
It was of a birthday clown holding balloons. He flipped the thing around, and on the back it said, "To Brian, I hope you enjoy the painting. Best wishes, your friend, John Wayne Gacy." It was a self-portrait of serial killer, John Wayne Gacy.
The general picture is not just of individual monsters, but of an ecosystem that normalized abuse for the sake of audience and profit, with children at the center. It would be easy to pretend that the Disney castle was immune. It was not. The difference is that abuse there manifested more through psychological pressure, suffocating image control, and labor exploitation. The book Disney High shows how the channel's structure worked as an intensive teen career management company. Rigid contracts, morality clauses, personal life censorship, and exhausting schedules. Loyalty was to the brand, not the individual. Decades later, former stars like Demi Lovato and Allison Stoner have spoken out about the psychological cost of this machine.
They didn't let me have phones in my hotel rooms because they didn't want me to call room service. I didn't have food in my hotel room because they didn't want me to eat the snacks.
Allison Stoner reported episodes of early sexualization, cruel beauty standards, eating disorders, and a completely distorted relationship with her own body. Add to this the stories of Britney Spears, a product of the Mickey Mouse Club, and others who struggled with addiction and public collapses. The perfect aesthetic came at an extremely high cost, almost always paid in adult life. From a sociological standpoint, Disney and Nick functioned as two unofficial curricula for Generation Z. Disney's Brand Me Incars module taught that your value lies in your ability to be lovable, productive, and profitable. Problems must be solved with cute resilience and an uplifting ending. This phase was key to the idea that kids were growing up faster, packaging complex dilemmas in radio-friendly pop. The pedagogy of chaos from Nickelodeon, on the other hand, offered literacy in irony and mistrust. Authority is something to be sidestepped, not followed. Life is so absurd that the best you can do is laugh, film it, and turn it into content. In 2025, this translates into a generation that sells itself with Disney filters, but processes the world with Nickelodeon's acidic humor. Aesthetic on the feed, collapse on the stories. The superficial victory may belong to Disney. They created more relevant stars and taught a generation how to sell itself. But the mental victory is divided. From Disney, we inherited the obsession with perfect performance and personal branding. From Nickelodeon, we inherited the defensive humor and the joke as a shield against an adult world that seems always ready to fail us. We are the children of Miley Cyrus and Miranda Cosgrove. We want immediate fame, but we tremble before public judgment. We make crying videos, but we choose the filter. The war of the 2000s ended, but the mental programming continues to run in the background. The remote control has changed hands. Today, it's the scroll on the phone. But the silent lessons from those channels still edit what we consider acceptable, desirable, funny, or postable. In the end, the battle was never just Disney versus Nickelodeon. It was between two different ways of telling us who we should be. The problem is, we believed them.